Taking what?
A heel turn.
Oh, me? It wasn't me. I'm the one who got kicked in the face. I'm innocent.
How? Okay. How did you feel working with Elias?
Oh, that was so much fun. He's one of, we were in NXT together, so it was, we kind of gotten to know each other over the past few years. So being able to work with him and like how successful he's been since he's been here in WWE is a lot of fun. I think we have like good chemistry, and I hope we can like do some more stuff because it didn't feel like we got enough on the mixed match challenge. So I'm hoping to kind of see where else it can go.
How did you see the evolution of the NXT takeovers from the first takeover in Brooklyn?
Till now?
Yep.
How do you see the evolution of the NXT takeovers from the first takeover in Brooklyn? The evolution of the takeovers.
I mean, they kind of just keep getting better and better. They're all very different, obviously, because of the roster and everything. But they Triple H always kind of has something cool on Takeover, whether it's like musical performances for Shinsuke's entrance, or like a choir for Bobby Roode, or cool stuff for like Aleister Black's entrance. So there's always something different, and it's always exciting. And Takeover is one of the shows that I can never miss.
Okay, and my last question: what did you feel when you were in the Elimination Chamber?
Man, I was really nervous, and I was actually really excited because obviously it's the first time ever, and I've seen these Elimination Chambers live as a fan. I've been to the shows, so being inside one is a little intimidating. But to be honest, once the chamber door closed and the bell rang, like being the first one in there, I was actually very comfortable, which is scary. But I was really comfortable being in there, and I didn't come out with the championship, but I did have a lot of fun.
Okay, Bayley, thank you so much for your time, and a big hug from Spain. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
We'll move over to Germany if you want to go ahead.
Sure. Hi, Bayley. This is Andre.
Hi, guys.
I would like to know from you, so there were so many first-time matches in the women's division now. Which type of match is missing for you personally? First ever.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many already. So, I don't know what's left. Maybe, like, a TLC match. So, like, that's left. Or, if we can come up with some tag team titles, then we can have the first ever, women's tag team tournament for the women's tag team title. So that's something that I still really want to happen someday. So hopefully that will be the next one.
Yeah. And what do you personally think about Ronda Rousey, and if she is taking away the spotlight from all the other women in the roster, or if she is giving more spotlight to the other women because she's getting attraction from the mainstream media?
Yeah, I think it's good because she is bringing in, a different fan base. I have people that coming up to me at my gym that I work out at, and they hear that she's coming to WWE. So, they're like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to watch because they're UFC fans, or, they're just fans of sports. So she's touched so many different people in in the world of sports. So people want to see her. She's an attraction. But as far as I don't feel like she's taking the spotlight away from us, because if anything, it just pushes us to want to be even better, because if she's getting that spotlight, we're going to fight even harder to make sure that we don't lose our spot. At least that's how I look at it. She ain't going to take my spot, and she's not going to stop me from achieving my dreams just because she's here.
Yeah. Okay, and my last question is, so don't get me wrong, and I hope you will do it for a long, long time still, but what do you personally think, how long will you be a part of the active roster of WWE, and do you have any plans for the time after your in-ring career?
Jeez.
I mean, I kind of just got started here, so I would hope to go for a little bit longer, you know. I always, you know, wanted to be here for like 10 years or something and just accomplish everything I want to do. But so I don't know how long the time span is, can't tell the future, but I do have like plans of wanting to open my own wrestling school when I'm done with my own in-ring career. Okay. That's just something that I always felt like I wanted to do. The day I started training, I just fell in love with training. And when I was in NXT the last year that I was there, I was helping a lot of the younger talent, and I was kind of more like kind of coach, kind of like active. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and I just love teaching people and helping them and seeing them succeed. So I know that's something that I want to go on doing, like going forward. When I move back home to California, open up my own school, and kind of like Lance Storm and Seth Rollins run their schools. So I'm excited for that too.
Okay, cool. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thanks, Andres.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to move over to Sylvian at caq.fr.
Yes, hello Bayley. Sylvain from France. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. First question. We often say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. After what happened last night in the chamber match, would you consider Sasha a friend or an enemy? And what would you say to her if you had her in front of you right now?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's been weird ever since the Rumble, I feel like, where, you know, she eliminated me, and I kind of just took it as every woman for herself. So I understood she had to do what she had to do. But last night kind of seemed like a little more aggressive from her. Like, I don't feel like it had to go that way. But honestly, I don't know. We're going to have to see where it goes from here, because it's kind of hard. You know, we never had personal issues outside of the ring. It's always, like, our issues are always in the ring. So to me, I always see it like it's a professional choice that she's done. But, like, if she really does have a problem with me, then that's something that we'd have to solve. And, you know, only time will tell. We'll see. Last night really did bother me, more so than the Royal Rumble. So we're going to have to see what happens.
Okay. Unfinished business then.
Yeah.
You have a cult following. Yeah. You had a cult following in NXT. And one that I feel you brought to the main roster. And yet we often hear about differences between NXT and the main roster. So what would you say is the main difference between NXT and Raw and SmackDown?
As far as the fans, or just in general?
In general, let's say, yeah.
Well, the NXT is more of, I mean, it's obviously on a smaller scale, so I think the fan base for NXT, to me, I always saw them as family, because they all saw us grow together, and they all saw us start in this little tiny spotlight with, 20 people in the crowd, and then grow and grow and grow inside Florida, and then finally get out of Florida and do these shows in different states and all that, and then finally overseas, and then these takeovers start growing. So they watched us grow from the ground up. So I feel like that's why they're very loyal to us, and it's kind of they know us more so than WWE fans, where like once you get to the main roster, there's people watching from all over the globe, so you have to like reintroduce yourself, which can be really tough when you're not in NXT, where it's more intimate, and it's you're there to develop your character, where WWE, you're here to just try to get your face on the TV, really, because there's so many people on the roster.
Okay, yeah, sure. And last question for me, Bayley. I know it was brought up before, but there's wrestlers, to me it seems they cannot be turned heel, like Rey Mysterio, John Cena. Hulk Hogan did turn heel. The Bayley character is like the upper baby face, but if you had to be turned heel, how would that come about? Fantasy booking, basically.
That's a good question. I guess it would just come from within, where, I mean, I don't know if it's, it would just have to be somebody that really hurt me, and think it needs to be good. It can't just be thrown away. If we were to do something like a character change like that, it would have to be for a solid reason and not just to do it just because. And I've been this way for so many years already, and to take like a major turn like that would have to be something worthwhile. So it would have to be have a lot of thought put into it. But I think that we could either way be able to like pull it off.
Okay, fair enough. And because I'm a big ENC podcast listener, I say, here we go. Thank you, Bayley, and see you in New Orleans.
Did you just do Michael Hayes?
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Bayley. Bye-bye.
We'll stay in France, and Roman, you can go ahead.
Yeah, hi Bayley, here's Roman from cashnews.com in France. Great to talk to you today.
You too, thank you.
My first question is, there are speculations about WWE losing faith in your ability to carry the women's division on your shoulders. It has been a year since you won the women's title. In order to regain momentum, would you be ready to adopt a totally different character and totally different look for a chance to be once again on top of the division?
Well, I just competed in the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber, started the match, and was in the final three, so I wouldn't say that I'm not on top.
True that.
But you're right, because, you know, everybody wants to be champion in order to be in that top spot and be at the WrestleMania matches. But whatever it takes, that's why we're all here, and whatever it takes to get to the top is what we're all willing to do. But I'm feeling pretty good as of right now.
All right. Well, speaking of Elimination Chamber, recently the women's division had a lot of history-making moments, like in Money in the Bank or at the Royal Rumble. In your opinion, do you think women are now totally equal to men within the WWE roster thanks to those matches? And is there more WWE can do for the division in the years to come?
Yeah, I think we're not where we exactly want to be yet, because we want to be main eventing like Monday Night Raw and all the pay-per-views on a regular basis. And as long as we can keep these Rumble matches going, these Elimination Chamber matches going, these Hell in a Cell matches going, then I think that we will finally be able to be on the same level as them. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I think the next goal to finally prove that we are super equal is main eventing WrestleMania. So once that happens, I think we are, we're good for the rest of the time.
Yeah, and my last question would be that at Elimination Chamber, Ronda Rousey signed her WWE contract, but for the past few weeks, she has been heavily criticized by superstars like Nikki Bella or your friend Sasha Banks. What do you think of her arrival in WWE? Aren't you afraid that she might monopolize all the attention on her and put the other women on the roster in the shade because of her popularity?
No, I think that having her here is like I said before, it just kind of pushes everybody to their limits. Like, if anything, it rises everyone, because you see another star come in and you want to make sure that she's not going to take your spot. At least that's how I see it. Like, when I see somebody come in from NXT, I make sure that they're not going to pass me up. I make sure that I maintain my spot. And, my goal is to be the women's champion and to be on the pay-per-views and to be on WrestleMania. And it doesn't matter who it is, they're not going to take my spot. And if they are, they better earn it. So that's the same way I feel about her. She brings in all kinds of different fans, different views, different eyes, but she's not changing anything that I'm doing.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Bayley, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Neil, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, Neil.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi, Beth. I'm very good, very good. Nice to speak to you. Just wanted to talk about an amazing night last night, the first Women's Elimination Chamber match. It's a great success. A lot of fans saying it even eclipsed the men's match later in the show. What were your thoughts on it, and what does that reaction mean to you?
I haven't been able to read any tweets or anything like that, because I just feel like I've been on such a high since last night. It's been just incredible to know that we're doing all these matches and being able to be in the same kind of the spotlight of the guys. And, you know, we all put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure that them giving us these opportunities, like, they don't think they made a mistake, like we failed them or anything. So we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure we have a really good performance. And I feel like last night everybody did such a great job of really, like, making this history-making match a memorable one. So I don't know. I honestly felt comfortable as soon as the bell rang. I was really intimidated going into it, obviously, and really scared of all the things that could go wrong or everybody getting hurt. But felt really comfortable, and I felt like the crowd was so ready for it and so into everything that it just turned out perfect. Except I didn't win.
I was going to say
perfect, but you know, pretty perfect.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say you didn't waste any time climbing the wall like Spider-Man. First to escape Sonya Deville and then going after Alexa Bliss. What's it like up there? Can you tell us?
Yeah, it's so scary. I didn't think I was going to be scared because, I don't know, in the ring, I've always felt comfortable, like, I don't know, like untouchable when you're in the ring. But climbing, you know, honestly, to the top of the pod, standing up there, it was really, really scary. My legs felt like jello. But, you know, you have a goal and, like, to do what you got to do. I mean, to achieve what you want, so you got to do what you got to do. So that was, you had to face your fears in that match for sure. You knew what you were signing up for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's talking about, you know, Sasha Banks, your longtime friend, turning on you, offering you a hand, get on one of the pods, and then kicking you down. You know, ever since your feud in NXT, those classic matches, fans have clamoured to see, you know, the two of you work a feud against each other again. Do you feel like the time's right for that, for your story to come full circle?
I would love for that to happen, and I really do think that we have such a great chemistry, and it's just like a natural bond that it doesn't matter when it happens, we can pick it up anywhere. Not to sound like cocky or anything, but I just think that we have like a really good connection to where whenever it's time to tell that story, that we'd be able to. And last night, you know, after what she did, I think now's a good time. So I would love to start that up and get some payback.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said you've not had a chance to go on Twitter, but did you see the memes comparing it to Scar and Mufasa in The Lion King?
Yeah, I did. I felt that, really, especially after she tweeted me that gift. So it felt like she kind of already had a plan, which I feel stupid. I should have seen it coming.
Well, I hope we get to see the chance you get some revenge at WrestleMania. Perhaps that would be fantastic. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. You can get the kids to bed now. We'll turn over to Josh at Vulture Hound. Take care, Neil.
Hi, how you doing, all right?
Yeah, how are you?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
Right, what I've got, what are your views on the matches? We've seen their popularity rise on the independent scene. For example, we've had Tessa Blanchard and Brian Cage. Do you think it's a good thing, or have you got a different opinion?
Sorry, I couldn't really hear you.
Yeah, can you repeat that, Josh? You're kind of muffled.
Yeah, sure.
There you go.
What are your views on intergender matches? We've seen their popularity rise on the independent scene. Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I mean, and I'm a huge fan of Candice LeRae, so that's kind of how what she was doing right before she started with NXT, and I watched it all the time because she's one of my friends, so I thought they were a lot of fun. And then we get to do it in the Mixed Match Challenge, which honestly has been some of the funnest things that I got to do since being with WWE, was just the stuff that I was able to shoot with Elias. And I know I feel like everybody kind of feels the same, like everybody that's involved in the Mixed Match Challenge, because we don't get to do stuff like that anymore. There was a few times in NXT where I had a couple intergender matches or mixed tag matches and everything, but I feel like it has a place here and something that we can go on doing past the Mixed Match Challenge. Like once that's even over, it's something that we should definitely look into doing more often. So hopefully we'll bring it back, because that was a lot of like what I was a fan of growing up too is like Lita and Matt, or Crash Holly and Molly Holly, and Trish with Tess and Albert. Like all that stuff is so cool to me. So to bring it back would be really fun.
Awesome. Is there anything that you miss about the indie scene at all? Because I know you came up in 2012, so.
I mean, there's a lot. It's kind of. I love being here, so there's not much that I miss. I do miss a lot of the people. I wrestled for Shimmer Women in Illinois, and that was like some of the best times of my life because I got to meet so many different women from all over the world, and there's still people that I talk to this day. A lot of them actually work here now. A lot of them are in NXT, so I get to see some of them, but like I learned so much from all the women that I got to work with in those matches, and we spent a weekend together, but we didn't really have sleep because we were so busy, so we basically spent 48 hours together getting to know each other and learning the business together. So I think there's one thing I miss about being on the indies. It's probably just being able to be a part of those shows.
Yeah. Is there one last question? Is there anyone on the independent scene or in NXT that we should keep an eye on that you would want to maybe join WWE that you could work with in the future?
There's a lot of women in NXT that I'm a huge fan of. Like I said, Candice LeRae, she just got signed, so I can't wait for her to come to WWE. She's one of my favorite people, and she's so talented. I've always been a fan of Peyton Royce. I think she is like. She's had big matches, she's had title matches, but I don't think she's had her time to shine, and she's so good. And she's like me. Her and Billie Kay have been fans since they were kids, so they love the business, they know the business, and I think once they get up here, it's going to turn the women's division upside down because they're both very talented, and I love them both.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, Bayley. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. We'll move over to Owen. You can go ahead, Owen.
How you doing, Bayley?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So in recent years, women in the WWE have had like cage and ladder matches, and you yourself have been in the first Iron Woman match and the Rumble, and also yesterday's Elimination Chamber. How much would it mean to you if you were able to be in the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania if that opportunity was to come around?
No, that's, I know that's everybody's goal in the locker room, but that's just, whenever, before this whole women's evolution started, before I even, got to NXT, it just being a kid, like that's everybody's dream. Anybody who has a dream of becoming a wrestler and making it to the WWE wants to main event WrestleMania, men and women. So that's something that's been on my mind since, I was 12 years old. And now that it's literally like possible, like it's going to happen someday. So the fact that I could actually be a part of that is just makes me emotional, like thinking about it. But whether I'm in it or not, just the fact that a women's match can main event WrestleMania is just so makes my heart so happy that we've come this far. Like yesterday was a huge step towards our goals, and I don't feel like WrestleMania is too far away from what we want to accomplish.
Fantastic. And speaking of WrestleMania, last year was your first WrestleMania. It must have been pretty surreal walking into it as women's champion. How was it?
Yeah, honestly, well, yeah, since it was my first, I wasn't even sure I was going to be on the show. It's like, well, I probably won't get on my first one on the roster because, the card is tight and I'm new, but so like when I won the championship, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I hold on to it till Mania, and then I did, and I retained the title. So I still feel really weird that happened. Like it doesn't feel like it was me that did that. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I'll never forget it. That was just walking down the entrance. I slipped on my Bayley buddy, so I thought everything was going to go downhill from there. But then I retained, and it was just like such a cool moment. I had my family and my fiance and friends there, so that was, no matter what happens today, tomorrow, down the road, I'll always have that Mania moment.
Awesome. Does sound pretty special. And last question, we've seen on your social media your love of music, like particularly bands like Paramore and Pierce the Veil. If you were given the chance to have your own like big WrestleMania entrance, who would you choose? Would it be one of those bands to play you to the ring?
Yeah, Paramore for sure. I want them to play my WrestleMania entrance so bad. I feel like they would play my song so perfectly. And I had the opportunity to meet Haley in the band like a few months ago. So we're like best friends now. So I think she'll do it. That's always been a goal. Like when I was on the Indies, I used to come out to Paramore. So it's just like, you know, I've been planting that seed for a while.
Well, thank you for your time, Bayley. Good luck for the coming months up to WrestleMania.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Owen. I thought it was Powermore. We're gonna go over to Nims, SEN Radio.
Hey, Bayley, how you going?
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks, Bayley. You're being bombarded by Australians at the moment, so I apologise for that.
It's all right. I love Aussies. You heard I said Peyton Royce and Billy Kay.
Oh, well, there you go. They probably don't say that around Johnny Gargano, but now, I was actually at WrestleMania last year, and I actually wanted to bring this up because I've been a massive fan of you for ages since your first time in NXT. When you took on AJ Lee in NXT, like yonks ago, that was when I first thought, this is my favourite wrestler now. I'm going to follow her as much as I can.
Oh, thank you.
And I spent like hours trying to download a proper Bayley in WWE 13, but there just wasn't any good ones. So I want to ask you, you've never been to Australia, as far as I know. Every tour, like you were either injured or when NXT came down here, you went up to the main roster. When can we come down to Melbourne, Australia?
When are we going there next? I don't know. The last time we were there was when I separated my shoulder. I was so mad. I obviously was mad I was missing SummerSlam, but I was like, I think I can make the Australian tour. And they kept telling me no. I was like, no, I think I can make it. They're like, you're not going to be ready. It's like the doctors and stuff. They're like, you're not going to be ready by then. It's not safe. Like, just let it rest. There's going to be other tours. And I was so bummed out. That's definitely one of the places I want to go. So whenever I'm there next, or whenever WWE is there next, I'll make sure that I'm there, and then we can hang out and watch the AJ Lee match together.
That sounds awesome. Another question I want to ask you is, obviously, being a fan as you when you grew up, we saw you in the Elimination Chamber. You were locking up with Mickie James. In the Royal Rumble, you got to share a ring with Trish Stratus. Is there any past female wrestlers that you just wish that you could have one more match with?
Oh, yeah, there's so many. But Lita is definitely the one that comes to mind. We were technically in the same match together, being in the Royal Rumble match, but I didn't get in the ring with her, and that's all I wanted. I was like, let me take her moonsault. Like, I'll let her, I just wanted to, look at her and be in the same ring with her because she's the one who really inspired me to tell myself that, I can really make it to the WWE. It is possible, because she was so different than everybody, and I felt like I was different from everybody at my school because I love WWE. So if there's ever a chance where she gets to come back or we do another Rumble match, I just want to be in the ring with her, and I will be happy.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to see a Lita Bayley match. I'd probably have to recreate that in 2K17.
Yeah.
One last question for me. One last question for you, Bayley. Now, this is something that I've always wondered because you've been a big fan, and I know some of my other favorite wrestlers that I really enjoy, Zack Ryder and Kevin Owens, were big fans growing up. One of my favorite pay-per-views that I can always sort of go back and watch no matter how many times, and it never gets old, is WWE Backlash 2000. If you could only watch one pay-per-view on the WWE Network for the rest of your life, what one would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm really bad at remembering, but I think it's WrestleMania 17. That was my favorite WrestleMania. That was The Rock Austin, I think, right? That's the one.
Sure, that's correct.
Yeah, that was my favorite one, just because I remember being in elementary and like the Limp Bizkit song that would play for the video packages and everything. It just like got me so excited. For some reason, video packages always made me like emotional, like, oh, I want to do this so bad. And that was one that really stuck with me. And I always think like the Rock Austin feud was one of the best ever, obviously. So I would just rewatch that one.
That's a really good choice. Now, Joe, hopefully, Joe, you won't get mad at me, but Bayley, can I ask you a quick favour? Can I please get a shout out?
Sure.
Yeah, could you just say like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think you'd say yes. I don't know. Just hey, Nims, thanks for being a fan.
Oh, you want a personal shout out, not like you're listening to. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Bayley is my favorite wrestler, and I don't often get to do this.
Thank you. What was the name?
Nims.
Names?
Nims.
Nims.
Like the old
Nims.
This Is Why I'm Hat rapper, yeah.
Nims, thanks for being a fan, and whenever I get out to Melbourne, I say it wrong all the time, I'm sorry, Nims, but we'll try to get a hug.
Yes, greatest day ever. Thank you so much, Bayley. It's been an absolute pleasure, and good luck for Raw tonight.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
Too late, Nims. I'm already mad. Steve Adams, we'll go ahead and move over to you.
Thank you. Hi, Bayley. How are you? Greetings from Australia.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Bayley, I just want to ask a couple of questions. A couple of my original questions have already been answered. Moving from NXT to the main roster, what was the best advice that you were given?
That's a good one. I'm trying to think. Honestly, it's some of the best advice that I've gotten in my career, and I think that's helped while being on WWE, was from Dusty Rhodes when he just told us to be ourselves. Because, you know, when you first start in NXT and trying to get on TV, we had promo classes, and everybody would just try to be someone they're not and just try to put on a show or try to be these wrestlers or whatever, and they weren't really being themselves. So he would literally stop what we were doing and just say, just be yourself. Like, just be yourself. Like, you can see it in your eyes and you can feel it in your heart. You know, the fans will know when you're not being genuine, and you'll lose them. So if you just be yourself, you can never go wrong. And that's like when everything clicked for me, and when I really started my Bayley character, and that just stays with me. Everything I do till this day, I always remember that.
And speaking of Dusty Rhodes, a great late, did he advise you not to ever get rid of your ponytail?
Yes, he did. That was after my first match with, it was actually against Alicia Fox. That was the first time I came out as a Bayley character in my new gear, in my side ponytail, my headband. And it was actually for the NXT Women's Championship tournament, the first one. And I came out and I took my hair down because I was just like, oh, they're not going to want women to have their hair up. They're going to want it down. Like, all these girls have such beautiful hair. So I just saw it as, I can't have my hair up. I'll just take it down for the matches and whatever. Then I came back, and he, as soon as I walked down the stairs, he grabbed me and he goes, what were you doing? Why did you take down your hair? I was like, because I was going to wrestle. And he's like, never take your ponytail down. That's you. That's your thing, the ponytail. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was so happy because as a kid, you know, I always tied my hair up anyways because I was such a tomboy. And it just made me so happy. And now, like, obviously I owe it to him.
So moving forward, if you were to turn heel and your character changed, would you get rid of the ponytail?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to, because then I'd have to get, like, fake hair or something. Maybe I'll just shave my head, then I don't have to do my hair. I'm still a tomboy, so I don't want to do my hair. Maybe I'll just put it on the other side. It's like the dark side, so it's still a side pony, but on the left. No, I really don't know. If I'm willing to make changes, but we'll see.
Thank you, Bayley. That's all the questions that I have. And similar to them, can't wait till you're back in Melbourne or come to Melbourne. Would love to see you down here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll move over to David Dunn.
Take care.
Hello, Bayley. Good morning from New Zealand.
Hello.
As a well-documented super fan, what's it like for you now to be on the WWE Raw roster and be sharing a locker room with people the likes of a Kurt Angle, or Matt Hardy, Lita in the case of the Royal Rumble, people who you grew up watching as a fan and now they're your peers, your contemporaries?
It's so crazy. I feel like I've been around these people for a while now, and I still don't get used to it. Like yesterday, even I was walking up the ramp before doors opened, and Kurt Angle was coming down the ramp, and he's like, "Hey, Bayley," and to me, it's just so weird. Like, Kurt Angle knows who I am, and sometimes his daughter will be backstage, and his daughter's a huge fan. So I feel like it's crazy that Kurt Angle, somebody one of my favorites, daughter is a huge fan of mine. Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Matt Hardy, yeah. And Matt Hardy he's the one who, I was obsessed with the Hardy Boys and Lita, and when we're on tour together, we sit on the bus together, and he tells us so many stories. He has such great stories, and he's such a cool leader to have in the locker room. So it's all very surreal to me still.
Absolutely. And then, obviously, as a fan, you would have been collecting a bunch of merchandise, things like that, over your years. Could you maybe just explain what the experience was like when you finally make it to WWE, and for the first time there's sort of merchandise with your face, your logo, your branding on it for the first time? What's that like to see?
It's weird because I spent my parents spent so much money on merch for me. I still have so many shirts. I have posters everywhere. I have all the action figures. I still have everything in storage. So I feel like now I'm finally getting all that money back. To see little kids in the crowd wearing my shirt or a headband or anything like that, it's so crazy because it's like looking in a mirror. That was me. And now there's people that are willing to spend their hard-earned money or waiting in line just to get my shirt. And, I don't know, it's such a cool feeling. It's very humbling. And, I don't know, it's really cool just making, mini Baileys.
And then finally from me, and I think I might already know the answer to this based on some of your answers earlier, but around this time of year, WrestleMania just after, seems to be the time of year where people make the move from the NXT roster to the main roster. Is there anyone down there that you've got your eye on that you think could be coming up to either Raw or SmackDown in this next batch of call-ups?
I don't know. Johnny Gargano just lost his NXT career, so maybe we can just have him come here because he's so good and he's awesome to have around. So we'll just bring him on up. Love to have him on Raw. As far as the women, I've been saying it for years, but Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, they're just incredible. There's a lot of girls that are there that are really good, but they still, have a lot to do in NXT. I think there's a lot to be done there to grow the division and all. And I really like Velveteen Dream. I think he's so different, and he just puts on a different show than everybody. So I'd like to see him up here, and I feel like his WrestleMania entrance would be awesome. His gear would be awesome. Yeah, he's interesting.
I agree. Hey, thank you so much for your time today, and all the best on this road to WrestleMania.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad. Are you there?
Yeah, mate, I am.
Go ahead.
Bayley, hello from New Zealand. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very good, very good. So looking at WrestleMania, there's already, seems to be 3 women's matches that are likely to be booked with what happened yesterday at Elimination Chamber with Ronda and what have you. But reading between the lines, there seems to be something brewing between you Sasha. But with 3 women's matches already, do you feel any pressure with limited spots on what's probably looking like a 12 or 30 match card to really perform over the next 5 weeks to get on that card, be it against Sasha or in another match?
Yeah, I guess everybody kind of feels that pressure. It's like WrestleMania season, and nobody really knows what's going on unless you're in a championship match. So last year I felt, safe because I was the champion. But yeah, this year is a little nerve-wracking. I mean, obviously I would love to be on the card in any form, whether it's, one of those 10-woman tags like SmackDown had last year or anything I would love to be a part of. But I don't know if we need to rush a big match between Sasha and I, or, we'll see. It's kind of hard to tell. You never really know, honestly, with how things are going to go here. But I just want to be on no matter what it is, and I would obviously love for it to be against Sasha, but like you said, I don't know if there's enough time for that.
So on that note, the guys obviously have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, where a lot of the guys get to perform in front of the big crowd at WrestleMania. Would you like to see, you talk about what's left for the Women's Evolution, what about a multi-woman match that you guys are competing for something, be it a trophy of the Fabulous Moolah or Trish Stratus or something like that? What about your own sort of Battle Royal at Mania?
That would be really cool, actually. Let me go talk to Vince right now. No, that's a good idea, and I think that would be awesome because then it would give all the women a chance to showcase, maybe if they're not in a bigger match or a championship match, and it would be really important. So, I mean, maybe down the road.
Cool. Couple of questions, and thanks for your time. The Mae Young Classic last year was just an awesome watch, and I'm sure you watched it as well, and you were there, of course, in the finals. What about main roster girls competing in that tournament? Because, there was a lot of great indie talent that was there that is now transitioned to NXT, but what about a Mae Young Classic that involves you guys? Would you be interested in that?
Yeah, I would love to do that. So I was actually really jealous being in the crowd for that, because then that will give us a chance to be able to work with some of the new NXT girls, or like the girls from the indies from all over the world. There's so many talented women, and just to be able to get into the ring with some of them would be so fun and so challenging for us, and kind of make us step our game up too. So next year, if they do it again, that would be a really good suggestion, and I would love to be a part of it. And I know anybody in this locker room would as well.
And you touched on how many talented girls are on the roster, and how many talented girls probably aren't even in the sights of WWE at the moment. 205 Live obviously has done a lot for cruiserweights. What about a women's show? Do you think we're at the point now where you girls demand your own show? Basically, there's so many talented women on SmackDown and Raw that you guys don't get to, I guess, progress your storylines as quickly or as in-depth as you should be able to in terms of time. What about a women's show where you girls can develop those stories and bring them to the public eye with your own hour or hour and a half or 2 hours on television?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, that's something everybody's kind of thrown out there thinking it's a good idea, because there's so many girls in NXT right now. But we're still, it's still a process. Although we're being able to do these first time ever matches, and there's a lot more women on this roster, and we're able to have, multiple matches at pay-per-views. Like yesterday we had 2 women's matches, and we're going to have 2 or 3 at WrestleMania. We're still growing, so I think that will happen, but in due time,
Bayley, thank you so much for your time. I'm just wondering if I could also ask for a shout out. My son's here, and he's a big fan of yours. If you could just say hello to Ethan. He's 3 years old.
Hi. What's his name? Sorry. Hi. How are you?
His name is Ethan. He's a massive fan. He loves your entrance music. He gets.
Hi, Ethan. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for watching, Ethan.
Bayley, that was
and give you a hug through the phone.
Awesome. That was a pleasure talking to you. All the best for WrestleMania.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ethan, too. Jam Murphy.
Hey, Bayley, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty well, thanks. You mentioned something earlier about Lita and how she inspired you. What's it like to be in the position that you're in now, where you can inspire young girls and, for years to come, actually? How much of a sense of responsibility do you take in that, and what kind of power does that how empowering is that?
It's really cool. Like, I've always said from the very beginning that I wanted to make people feel the way that I felt when I was a fan in the crowd, and I just want them to feel connected. I want them to feel inspired to do whatever they want to do. But it's usually and it's weird whenever I have signings or something, but there are teenage girls who will come up to me and say that, my match with Sasha in Brooklyn is what inspired them to get into wrestling or to start training. And just to hear that already at this stage of my career is, so insane. But it does motivate me to keep doing what I'm doing, and, reassures us that we are doing something special and that we're doing what we want to do and what we came here to do. And then, it's the parents will thank us for helping their children get through hard times, or, watching our matches is what makes them happy. And then I feel a responsibility from the parents. You don't want to let them down either. So it's a good responsibility, and that's what I want. It's a good pressure on us.
When we talked about a year ago about WrestleMania, you went into your first WrestleMania. You've touched on it a couple on this call. Can you talk about this weird dynamic? I mean, here you are in this revolution. You have to, on one sense, you want to be in WrestleMania yourself. Everyone wants that. But in the other sense, sometimes you have to cheer on, other women in WWE while they pursue their dreams. Can you talk a bit about how hard it is to balance that? I mean, you have obviously your own desires and your own aspirations, but at the same time you're expected to help other people and prop other people up at the same time.
Yeah, and you just kind of have to look at the bigger picture. Obviously everybody wants the championship match and everybody wants the main spot, and then I tell myself that, yesterday, for example, I was like, yeah, I want a big part of that match. But then you get it, and it's really nerve-wracking, so you have to make sure that you can come through and that you can actually perform at that level. But for me, we always wanted to see the women's division being taken to another level, and that we can be seen in the same light as the men, and we're there. So no matter who it is, I think that we've already accomplished what we want to do as far, that's how I feel. I've done my part, or done little things to help us get to where we are. Obviously, it took everybody to get where we are, but I feel like I've had a small part in it. So it's kind of, I don't know if it sounds cheesy, but it's kind of like I am there, whatever the match is, or whoever the woman is in these matches. We are there because we all helped them get to that point. So it's just a bigger picture type thing that you have to, a positive side of it.
Yeah, it's a great perspective. My last, I don't know if it's a question so much as an observation, but the Bayley heel turn question starting to plague you and follow you like they do John Cena. Do you feel that sometimes?
I read all my tweets, so I get a lot of stuff. But they just got to be patient and let the stories play out, because I don't even know what's going on. We'll see, especially after last night. We're going to have to see what happens, and I still don't know how I feel about everything. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Is there anybody else I missed that still on the line? All right. Bayley, I just have a couple questions from Sport Bible here in the UK. First, it's the last two WrestleMania weekends have had mixed results for you, with losing your NXT Women's title to Asuka TakeOver Dallas 2 years ago before retaining the Raw Women's title. What are you predicting for this year's WrestleMania?
I predict that, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing. Whatever it is that I get to do on the show, I'm hoping that it's, personally, I hope it's me versus Sasha, and then I can finally get her back for the things she's been doing and these little seeds she's been planting in my heart. Get her back. No matter what it is, I just want to be a part of WrestleMania and always to come out victorious.
So I guess it sounds like the next question was, if you could choose any superstar in the current roster to face at WrestleMania, who would it be and why?
Yeah, Sasha, because
well, you just gave all the reasons.
She's just pushing my buttons lately.
And given that we've seen women's division headline pay-per-views, including the Big Four show at the Royal Rumble, on top of having their own Money in the Bank and an Elimination Chamber match, how far off do you believe we are from seeing a women's division WrestleMania main event at WrestleMania?
I don't think we're too far off. I know it's still going to take I feel like there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of character development to be done. But given the good story and given the time, I don't think it's too far off. And whoever's in that blow the roof off, and it won't be the last time.